in your city. It appears to me that left-wing activists want to create wedges in our society and cause the mayors of our great cities to ignore the oath of office and to support rule of law. Each of you took an oath that included an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, correct?
Yes.
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 Are you aware
Correct.
that Article 6, Section 2 makes laws of the United States supreme, known as the Supremacy Clause? Is everybody aware of this?
Yes.
I'm shocked
Yes.
that you all, as elected leaders, flaunt violating federal laws as if you are running a political campaign. We are a nation of laws. We lose credibility as a nation when we disregard or ignore the law and the people die. As of July 24th, there are more than 660,000 illegal aliens from criminal backgrounds roaming the United States. It is estimated that a total added cost of illegal aliens nationwide is $150 billion per year since the start of 2023. The federal government has spent more than $1.45 billion reimbursing local jurisdictions and non-governmental organizations that provide travel, shelter, and other service to illegal aliens. What about homeless veterans that are living on the street? What about Hurricane Helene victims that are still suffering in North Carolina? What about those folks that are suffering from the forest fires in Los Angeles? Chicago has spent over $639 million. Denver spent over $365 million. Boston is spending potentially, well, about $1 billion annually. And New York City estimates it could potentially spend $12 billion on illegal aliens from 2022 through fiscal year 2025. If you were the president and you found that your cities were spending billions of dollars against the interest of your citizens in violation of the Supremacy Clause, don't you think you would have cause to consider withholding federal funding, yes or no? No answer?
No, because we've not violated any federal law.
Yes, you are making the taxpayers of this nation foot your bill for your potential whims that you don't agree with is wrong, and that is getting people killed. Mayor Wu, in the Boston area alone, Tom Homan said there are at least 9 accused child rapists.
That is
who
inaccurate. That is false.
My time.
That is false.
Local
I'd like
authorities
to see the
refuse
facts
turn
on
over
that.
to
Again,
U.S.
put him under
Immigration
oath and ask the
Customs
questions
Enforcement.
here.
How could you do that to your citizens? It sounds like you care more about your politics than the safety of your citizens. Imagine the parents of those children abused by someone you all released into society.
Congressman, our
It
safety
could have been
statistics
prevented.
are the lowest in the country,
In my
lower than your district.
A little girl was age 14, was raped by an illegal alien. He was released from jail 4 times because it seems, and a lot of you guys on the left, you believe that criminals are good, police are bad, and no one cares about the victims. This horrific crime was avoidable, but it was sanctuary policies like yours that allowed the offender to travel to the U.S. and end up in my district. And with that, I yield.
Gentleman yields. Chair recognizes Mr. Min from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to take a moment just to note that once again this committee is failing to do its job and actually exercise oversight in the way it should. My phones are ringing off the hook with people who are angry as hell about what they see as the rampant corruption of this administration, the illegal activities of Elon Musk and Doge, and the massive cuts to Medicaid that Republicans voted for last week. Literally not one person has called to ask about the immigration enforcement priorities of the cities I represent, let alone Boston or Chicago. This hearing is an attempt to distract from the actual waste, fraud, corruption, and abuse that is happening at unprecedented levels in this country right now. So thank you to the witnesses. I want to start off with a few simple yes-no questions for you all. First, please raise your hand for the mayors if you are aware of any laws or policies that prevent federal authorities from enforcing immigration in your city. Okay, no hands are raised. Please raise your hand if you're aware of any cities or states in America that have laws or policies that prevent federal authorities from enforcing immigration law. Any cities or states. Okay, I just want to know for the record again, there are no hands up. And as your answers make clear, this whole sanctuary city, quote-unquote, debate is a sham. There is no place in America, not one, that actually provides sanctuary from federal law, period. The real issue here is whether state and local governments should spend scarce taxpayer dollars to help the federal government enforce its immigration priorities. Whether local police should spend their time focused on their actual jobs, keeping our streets safe, apprehending violent criminals, solving crimes, or whether they should be deputized to help enforce federal immigration laws. And a lot of cities and states, including my state of California, have made the very reasonable decision to say, hey, we want our teachers, nurses, doctors, cops, firefighters to focus on their actual jobs and not be dragged into this Republican war on immigrants. And let's be clear, the Republican immigration policies being pushed forward right now are counterproductive and will make us far less safe, something several of our mayors pointed out in their testimony. Look, I support a 100% ban on all illegal border crossings, but the reality is we already have over 10 million people here in this country without proper immigration status, many of whom have been here for decades. And if you have ICE agents patrolling our courthouses, police stations, and hospitals, that means that those undocumented immigrants are not going to go anywhere, but they are going to stop reporting crimes or seeking medical care, and this makes us all less safe from the rapists and murderers out there. Now, recently, my Orange County Sheriff, Don Barnes, a staunch conservative, issued a statement outlining his position on immigration enforcement. And here's what he stated. The Orange County Sheriff's Department does not enforce federal immigration law. It is not part of our primary mission, and we remain focused on violations of state and local laws. The department will provide for your safety and respond to your calls for service regardless of your immigration status. We do not and never will ask the immigration status of victims, witnesses, suspects, or those who call to report crimes. We enforce state and local laws equally without bias and without concern for your citizenship. Now, I actually think this is a pretty good summary of what each of you are describing happens in your cities, a situation where the federal government enforces immigration law while states and local authorities enforce state and local laws, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't know what my colleagues on the other side think, but I don't want my police focused on immigration status and asking people about that. I want them focused on preventing violent crimes. But with that, I want to shift gears to address Mayor Eric Adams. Mayor, as has been well discussed in this committee, you are the first sitting mayor in modern New York City history to be indicted while in office. Last year, of course, you were charged with numerous felony counts for soliciting and accepting bribes for nearly a decade from foreign nationals, businessmen, and others, including illegal campaign contributions and luxury travel. On February 10th of this year, the Trump Justice Department instructed federal prosecutors to drop charges against you. This decision caused 7 federal prosecutors, including a Trump appointee, to resign because they believed this was such an enormous miscarriage of the rule of law and law enforcement. Now, as some of my colleagues have pointed out, this was widely reported as a quid pro quo. I know you've denied that. I know you're probably limited in what you can say. But a lot of people out there, including a lot of people in New York City that I know, believe that these charges were dropped in exchange for a quid pro quo for your agreement to help the Trump administration enforce its immigration policies. So my question for you, Mayor Adams, is actually a very simple one. It's clear that whatever your intentions, whatever actions you take, whether on immigration or anything else, you do not enjoy the trust and confidence of the people of New York City. So my question is, why haven't you not resigned yet, and do you plan to resign today or anytime soon?
I'm really surprised after you laid out your strong belief in the country
It's a
and,
yes/no question.
and what we stand for, that
Why
you
haven't
are
you
acting
resigned
to
yet,
take away
Mayor
the
Adams?
power
Why have you
of
not
the
resigned
people.
yet?
The
It's
people
not
of
a
the
question that gets
city
to your
elected
lawyers.
me to be
Why
the
have you
mayor,
not resigned yet?
and
Please
you
answer
should
the
not be a
question.
hypocrite and ask the people of the city power to be reserved for them.
Why have you not
I
resigned
was
yet?
elected by the people of the
intend to
city,
resign anytime
and you
soon,
don't
Mayor?
live in the
Gentleman's
city.
time's expired. Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Jack from Georgia.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for convening this hearing, and I'd like to begin by offering some thoughts about our colleague from Texas, Congressman Sylvester Turner, who sadly just passed away, as some of you may know. Congressman Turner was a former 2-term mayor of Houston, and as our witnesses can no doubt attest, being the mayor of a big city is not easy. Congressman Turner was a member of our freshman class, and his office is right next to mine in the Longworth House Office Building, and as such, I had an opportunity to walk with him to and from votes, found him to be an incredible gentleman with respect and courtesy. My colleagues across the aisle, particularly the freshmen, knew Congressman Turner better than I, so I certainly yield to them on this topic, but I wanted to at least mention my own thoughts for the record. Now, to the topic of today's hearing, I prepared for today's hearing by chatting with some of the mayors from my district, from those who represent just a few hundred to those who represent a few thousand, and I found a common theme of frustration. They, along with me and many other constituents I proudly represent in Georgia's 3rd Congressional District, want to know why policies are in place that benefit citizens of other countries at the expense of citizens of our own country. So if I could, Mayor Johnston, I'd like to start with you from Denver. I know Chairman Comer, in his opening line of questioning, discussed an ordinance passed by the Denver City Council in 2017, and I recognize you had just left the state Senate by then. But this ordinance prohibits city and county employees from assisting the enforcement of federal laws or inquiring about a person's immigration status. So I just have to ask, do you see a benefit in learning whether or not someone charged with a crime is a citizen of another country?
Thank you, Congressman. I do just want to say Mayor Turner hosted me in Houston when I first became mayor, so that's a powerful statement for me. Thank you for acknowledging it. Thank you, sir. We don't ask someone's status when we first contact them because it's not relevant to whatever charges we may be pursuing. They may list their country of origin on a document that we ask for. It does not indicate their immigration status. They could have legal status but be from another country.
Thank you. Mayor Johnston of Chicago, do you see a benefit in asking someone charged with a crime whether or not they're a citizen of our country?
The benefit of community safety is trust between local residents and law enforcement, and that relationship is critical to driving violence down. Under my leadership, violence has gone down in the city of Chicago.
And Mayor Johnston, if I can ask, have you ever disciplined, fired, or arrested law enforcement officers or correction officers if they notified ICE or other federal immigration officers of an illegal criminal alien in lockup or courts in violation of your sanctuary city policies? Have you ever disciplined, fired, or arrested a law enforcement officer that worked with ICE?
That is not, I don't believe that's under the jurisdiction of the mayor. I don't arrest people or.
Are there issued memos in which you direct Chicago officers from not assisting with enforcement in immigration law or helping ICE identify folks who may not be here legally?
We do have documentation around making sure that the residents of the city of Chicago know their rights. That's important because it builds trust between law enforcement and community. By having that confidence and trust, people are more likely to come forward to report violent crime regardless of their immigration status.
Well, I have to submit to the record, Mr. Chairman, an article from News Nation Now, January 21st, 2025, in which it says Chicago police reminded they cannot cooperate with deportations. And if I may ask, Mayor, are there any
Without objection, so
memos?
ordered.
Thank you. Are there any memos that direct Chicago police to not cooperate with President Trump's deportation plans?
Well, so local law enforcement, we're not federal agents. So local law enforcement in the city of Chicago, they do not dub as federal agents.
But that having been said, from your mayoral office, have you ever issued memos to the police department instructing them not to cooperate with President Trump?
We remind people of what the Welcoming City Ordinance entails.
Would you submit to the committee any written documentation to the Chicago Police Department as it relates to this?
For the Welcoming City Ordinance, we're happy to make sure that this body has that ordinance, and that policy has been around for 40 years.
Thank you very much. Mayor Wu, back to my line of questioning with Mayor Johnston and Johnston. Do you believe that if you are asking someone who's been charged with a crime, whether or not they're here in our country legally, is that a proper and beneficial thing to do?
The laws of Massachusetts and the Boston Trust Act help Boston police solve crimes. We do not ask for immigration status because it allows for people to trust that when they call 911, when they have information that might help bring justice to another family, that they feel comfortable sharing that.
Thank you. And Mayor Adams, in closing, obviously you know the police very well. Do you see a benefit in asking folks who've been charged with a crime whether or not they're a legal citizen?
Yes, I do.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes Ms. Gillen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think one thing everybody seems to agree on here is that our immigration system is broken and desperately needs to be fixed. And I ask my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to work together with us to fix our broken immigration system, to fix our broken asylum system, which isn't fixed by firing the top immigration judges who can actually help us fix this problem. But my focus here today is the effect on my constituents on Long Island. Every day, my constituents are dealing with the effects of the failure to secure our border and the influx of more than 670,000 migrants who have come into the state and New York City, putting a strain on our schools, on public safety and law enforcement, and local governments. Mayor Adams, you said your top priority is to keep New Yorkers safe, but under your watch, the exact opposite has happened. Instead of effectively governing our city, your policies have compounded this crisis. New York has housed migrants in the Roosevelt Hotel for nearly 2 years, not only giving them food and shelter, but also debit cards. In New York, taxpayers have paid about, as you acknowledge, $7 billion to respond to this crisis. That figure is outrageous. And now, instead of stopping the bleeding, you're going back and asking the taxpayers of New York to spend another $1 billion on this crisis. While you focused on your own personal problems, crime has skyrocketed in New York, increasing 20% since you took office in 2021. An AP poll has said that the majority of Americans agree that undocumented people who commit violent crimes should be deported, including 79% of Democrats. But what have you done? I was astounded to hear that ICE was prevented, even if they knew there were gang members in the Roosevelt Hotel, from actually doing anything to get those gang members out of there. Mayor Adams, what have you done, and what is your answer to the taxpayers of New York for the money that has been spent on this crisis?
You raise several things, and there's a level of inaccuracy in some of the stuff you raise. When you look at our crime numbers, I'm not sure where you got those from, but we could give you an accurate account of our crime numbers. Crime has continued to drop since I've been the mayor of the city. We have removed over 20,000 illegal guns off our street. And although we had 230,000 migrants and asylum seekers that came to our door, 189,000 were able to go on to the next step of their journey. We managed a crisis. Congress makes our immigration policies, not mayors. I managed a crisis that was dropped at my door, and I continue to do that every day, and I'm proud of what my team did coming out of COVID and managing this crisis as well. Our city has more private sector jobs in the history of the city. We received our bond rating increase and stabilized. Our city is functioning, and we're going to continue to do the job that I was elected to do.
So spending $8 million $1 billion is a good job. Mayor Adams, what you said today has given me no confidence in your ability to continue to serve and lead our city.
But you don't live in New York City. You live on Long Island. You don't vote for me.
Mayor, and you should resign. And I said that before you made your deal with Donald Trump.
Thank God you don't live in New York City. You live on Long Island.
But
people
the
of
problems
city,
New York City
people of
affect
city
my
elect
constituents
people
who
of
work
New York
in Long
City
Island, who
elected.
work in Manhattan, whose kids live in Manhattan, who go to the doctor in Manhattan. Everything that happens in Manhattan affects my constituents, Mayor. I yield back.
Would the gentlelady yield to me, please? I thank the gentlelady. My question, Mr. Beer. We've heard a lot about crime. So the overwhelming majority of crime in the United States is committed